Hey guys, Alex975 here today, and in today's video I wanted to make a video discussing why I think video game movies are so misunderstood. Now I know a lot of big channels have made videos already on this and I'm a bit late to the party when it comes to making a video on this, but I still wanted to make a video on it because I'm really passionate about video games and movies, so obviously I'd like to discuss about this, and there's still a lot to talk about because there's plenty of video game movies still to come out, so I want to make my opinion about it. So obviously my opinion is that they're very underrated. Now I wouldn't say very underrated because they always do very well, and I think that's quite obvious because the large children and adult audience that play video games and would love to see on the big screen. But the main big problem is critics, and I think everyone said this, but it's still really frustrating. Now the big example I'm going to be using is the Mario Bros movie, but I do want to say I will be mentioning other video game movies and shows. Really the only show I'm going to be talking about is The Last of Us show, and only ones that I have watched, and they don't have to be came out in 2023, and they might have came out well earlier. So anyways, as I was saying, critics seem to have rated the Mario movie quite poorly, and to be fair, it's not an Oscar-worthy movie or anything like that, at least not for the acting or anything like that, but it is a very good movie. It is a very enjoyable kids movie, and people of any age can enjoy it, and it's a simple movie. Now I don't think it deserves a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that, but I do think it deserves a 70% or a 65%. It's a good movie, not a mid movie, a good movie, and it's perfectly rewatchable, and I think that is a perfect success for Nintendo. They didn't make anything too daring that they could mess up the movie, but they didn't fail at anything. They made it a good movie, and I'm sure a huge franchise is going to come out of that. Legend of Zelda movie is coming out, there's also definitely a Mario Bros 2 movie coming out, there's also a possible Mario Galaxy movie. Like, there's a whole franchise that's been born, and I think everyone agrees on this as well. But I think it's well known now that there's going to be a huge Nintendo universe, because this is Nintendo's second try at trying to get onto the big screen, and it's worked out really well, being the second biggest grossing movie of 2023. So Nintendo are definitely going to keep doing this, and I'm very excited for it, and it just proves critics wrong. Now I don't know how critics rate this one, but The Last of Us show is an amazing show, and it is nearly a spot-on retelling of the actual video game, and the video game is actually better at telling it, but the show is still really good, and I think they made all the actors perfect. Pedro Pascal is brilliant as Joel, and I really enjoyed the show, and I do have to say that all the video game movies I've watched or shows have all been good that I've watched this year. Now the most controversial one that even people who like the movie will agree there's many flaws with is the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Now I do think this was the most difficult out of the bunch to become successful, because it had a lot of people coming to see it. Obviously not as much as the Mario Bros movie, but it was a lot more controversial because FNAF is obviously famous for its lore, but also the game, so they had to kind of balance it so that it was simplistic enough that new people could understand the movie who were going to see it for the first time, but people who were watching it who had already seen loads of theories and knew basically word for word the lore and could still learn new stuff from this movie. So it was hard to balance it out, and I already made a video on this, and I will say it was one of my more controversial videos, being that I thought that the FNAF movie was good and a solid movie, and probably 60% in my opinion in out of 100, a 6 out of 10 basically, and a lot of people disagreed with that and said it was a 4 out of 10 or even lower than that and going to extremes, and I still stand by what I said. It was a fun, enjoyable movie, and I know a lot about the FNAF lore. I'm not like just watching it and not knowing anything about FNAF. I know a lot about it, so I did have decent high expectations, but I do have to say they made a solid movie. It could have obviously been better, but they would have had to take more risks with that, and in that case it might have flopped, and they made the right call, and there's obviously going to be a huge franchise coming out of that, and that was a massive success. And I think Hollywood has to kind of understand now how successful these video game movies and shows are. I think they do, because they are making more, and I think one of the big starting points for it was Sonic and the Hedgehog movie, which was very good. good, and then Sonic 2 was even better. And now those two movies were just solid. I think they were like the Mario movie, solid, decent movies, nothing to write home about, but they were good movies. So they kind of started the wave, and obviously Sonic is nowhere big a franchise as Mario or Five Nights at Freddy's, so there was obviously a lot of money to come through. There's also a Minecraft movie coming out. Now that one, I might make a video on that separately, because I do have to say, if that one does come out, it's going to be much more difficult than the FNAF movie to become successful, for the fact that the Minecraft movie is so much harder to do, and I would like to make a video explaining that. It obviously has a massive viewer base, probably the biggest viewer base, but it's also got the hardest one to do because it doesn't have a story you can go off. You have to make your own story without going too far off the original game. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to say basically that, yeah, critics are rating these video game movies and shows very bad, and they're not recognizing how valuable these are. And I know this is a completely separate thing, but it's the same thing how studios don't seem to recognize how influential YouTubers are. And now I'm specifically going off YouTubers because I don't agree with any other social media stars, but YouTubers, like the perfect example is MrBeast, but I think everyone recognizes that now. But there's even less popular ones that are so even though they're less popular than MrBeast, they're super popular and super influential. And if you made a movie about them, now not about their story or something, but them included in it, even just for a scene or as a side character, it will definitely become hugely popular. So making an indie movie with a YouTuber in it, and that YouTuber can advertise, give loads of free advertising to that movie, and even if it has a small budget, the YouTuber will work on it because they want to enter the movie verse. And Hollywood will make a ton of money. Now I know Hollywood wouldn't be organizing it if it was an indie movie, but that's a real idea, and I don't know if much YouTubers have actually worked on that, on an indie movie, a proper indie movie that they're not making themselves, and a project actually hires them. That would be an interesting idea. But basically what I'm saying is, it's the same thing Hollywood isn't recognizing video games quality similar to YouTubers, how influential they are and how much money is to be made there. But I think they are starting to catch on now, and they kind of can't turn a blind eye to it now, because you can see that these games are working. There's still plenty of games you can make a movie on that would do really well. Obviously Minecraft is already being made, Fortnite is possible as well, and they're the two I can think of off the top of my head. I don't think you can make a GTA movie because the games are so much like a movie, but it would do well, I would say, but I wouldn't say it makes much sense. But you know, Hollywood's greedy, so they might do it anyways. But yeah, that's all for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.